Hey guys, we're going to take a look at the Milwaukee 18-inch Jobsite Rolling Tool Bag. It's model number 482282221. And this is a pretty tough bag. I put it through a couple tests and I'll show you those in a little bit. But I'm pretty impressed with how much it can handle so far and how well it's built. Alright, so basic specifications for this thing. It's 21 inches tall, counting this handle. If you measure from the back of the wheels, which stick out a little bit, to the front here, it's 16 inches deep. And then it's 19.5 inches wide if you squish down these side handles and the water bottle pockets. The whole thing is pretty beefy. It weighs in at 23.6 pounds empty. So it's definitely something you want wheels on. It does have wheels. But you definitely don't want to be carrying this thing around for any distance other than like picking it up out of your truck and setting it down. Alright, so the front pocket unzips and it folds open, and it's got these straps that keep the whole thing from just falling. And you can see you've got elastic loops along here, and the 66 pockets that they say this thing has, it counts these elastic loops as pockets. So just keep that in mind. It's not really 66 pockets, but you can use them to hold things in. So you can see I've got pliers, snips, some wire strippers, screwdrivers, putty knives, and a little plumber's level right here. And all that fits in there pretty well. You can probably fit some smaller things up here, but these aren't super elasticy. So if you have something really thin, like a bit driver extension or something like that, it's going to fall out of these. So they're mainly for keeping big tools from flopping around in the pocket there. On the front, you've got some smaller pockets. You can fit, I don't know, maybe some papers in here. I've got a drill bit sizing guide in this other front pocket, and this is perfect size for some pencils. On the sides, you've got a water bottle holder on each side. You can shove a Nalgene in here, but it's not really designed for a Nalgene. It sits pretty high in it, and it's pretty out of balance. So these are really meant for a little bit thinner water bottles. The handles on the side, they have grommets that go through the structure into the other side, so these are not going to rip out anytime soon. And they've got a single stitch line right here. I've yanked on these quite a bit, and they feel pretty sturdy. Mirrored on the other side, and then on your top, you got a big heavy-duty zipper. And I'm going to pick this up and set this on the ground so we can see down in it a little bit easier. Alright, so on the top of this, you got a big zipper that goes around the front. You've got a clear zipper pouch that's got a mesh reinforcement on it. It's good for small items. I've got some screw extractors in here and a driver extension right there. And you can see exactly how many tools I have in here. So I've got 18-volt Sawzall, hammer drill, M12 circular saw, impact driver or impact wrench, case of bits, another case of bits, got some impact sockets, wrenches, tap set, stud detector. Right here on this side, we've got a reinforced pocket to keep your things like a jab saw, which I've got in there, or maybe some Sawzall blades from poking holes in your bag. You can see I've got some precision pliers over here that fit in these loops really well, and I've got some punches over on this side, and then a set of tweezers hooked in there. I had more punches in there, and they've fallen down to the bottom because I just banging this around and dropping it. And the elastic wouldn't hold them. Like I said, that elastic isn't super strong. It's more for keeping tools that are in here from flipping out if you get the bag not upright anymore, if you tilt it on its side or something. The wheel wells don't actually take up a ton of space in here. I was surprised by that. And these pockets do squish pretty much flat if you just want to put bigger tools in here. So on the interior with this, it is a full 18 inches wide on the inside. It is 14.5 inches tall up to this reinforced rib around the top. And it's 9 3/4 inches deep going front to back. So if you squish these up out of the way, those are the dimensions you're going to get. These pockets are pretty squishable. And then, of course, on the other side, you have a laptop pouch, or really more of a tablet pouch. You can probably fit a small laptop in there. And I haven't measured the interior dimensions on this yet, but we shall see. All right, so that's going to fit 12 inches deep by about 10 inches wide. One of the things I really like about this is, you have this lid that if you pick it up and open it, it falls back closed. With this handle, you got these little straps, and you can only do one of them if you don't want to do both. But these flip around it and hold this up out of the way. So if you're, working out of the tool bag, it's not going to keep falling back down in your way. All right, so as far as the back of this goes, this cross piece here is plastic. This right here is metal. I'm pretty sure it's steel. This is plastic right here, and I think this is an aluminum axle. It's pretty well protected in here inside these skid plates. And there's even, you can see I've drug it up over a curb and got it a little bit scratched. This skid plate, this metal skid plate goes all the way on the bottom and all the way around. And I'm pretty sure the only reason they have these holes in here in this plastic is so you can actually see there's a through axle. I wish they had just left it completely protected. But it's held up pretty well. I hitched this thing on my trailer hitch and drove up and down my street with it at 20 plus miles an hour. Did just fine. The wheels are 6 inches in diameter. They've got some pretty good bearings. You can see it's still spinning. They've got metal hubs and they're actual rubber wheels. It's still going. Like you can see, really, really good bearings. All right, just for the heck of it, I'm going to do some drop tests. Both wheels are still good. That was pretty harsh. That was about, 18 inches to 2 feet. And I really don't know when you'd be dropping it from a higher height. It's pretty heavy. I've got this fully loaded. All those tools are in there right now. I'm really impressed with this thing. It's really well balanced. When you get it up here, at the 45-degree angle, it's really easy to wheel back and forth, really easy to maneuver, and the handle is wide enough that you can hold it out to the side, and it's not really hitting on your heels at all when you're carrying it or dragging it behind you. All right, let's go put this thing through a ridiculous regime of testing. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed just being an idiot. My neighbors got a good laugh at me too. I don't really recommend hitching this up behind your truck, but it can take it. I was going 20 plus miles an hour as I was driving up and down, and it handled everything just fine. And I can't find any real damage that it's had on it. I've scuffed up that skid plate a little bit, pulling it up and down the curb. But that's the only real damage I've found, is that cosmetic scuffing on the skid plate. And it's a steel skid plate, so it doesn't really matter. One of the things I also really like about this bag is it's got plenty of room to stack stuff on top of it. If you want to stack really heavy stuff, you might want to go with the 24-inch tool bag that has a hard top. But this one can handle, pretty decent loads. You saw me standing on it. And it's got these rings. If you want to run a bungee up and around, back down, you can hook stuff on here so it's not going to fall off while you're rolling it around. Alright, so pros and cons on this thing. I really, really like it. It's very sturdy. I love that all of these tool sections, the pouches, are all internal. One of the big complaints I had about the Husky 18-inch rolling tool bag that I reviewed a while back is all of the tool pouches, except for like 6, are external on that one. So if you're flying with this or traveling in any way where you don't want your tools falling out, tough luck. You just got to cram everything in the main case and hope it's not a jumbled mess when you get done, and it's guaranteed it will be without any internal pockets. So I really like that most of the storage on this is internal. Also, it's a lot more rugged than that Husky is, just from having hands-on time with both of them. The only things I don't like about it is it doesn't have a tape loop somewhere. That's easily remedied. You could, clip one on with a carabiner right here. And it also doesn't have a measuring tape, hard mount that you can slide the clip onto. I wish it had one of those, either inside or outside somewhere. Other than that, let's talk about price point. So, price point, this comes $170, and it's not cheap, but I think the quality is there. And if you look at the competition, closest competitor I've actually used myself is the Husky 18-inch rolling tool bag. And that one's an inch smaller in just about every dimension. It doesn't have this big exterior pocket right here. The wheels are about half the size. It doesn't have metal skid plates on the back. And that one comes in at $80, so it's about half the price. This has a limited lifetime warranty. I don't know exactly what's covered under that. I haven't read the fine print. But the Husky has a 3-year limited warranty. So that's a big difference. So if this thing is built the way I think it is, and I think it's really quality built, it should last twice as long as that Husky. And according to Milwaukee's testing, it does. They've got their little, you can find their video somewhere, they've got a drum with a bump on it that they just run with the bag sitting on top of, and they say it lasts, I don't know how many miles longer than the competition. And it's pretty clear they have the Husky there spray painted out in a different color. So I tried to do my testing that I could. I don't have an exact scientific setup, and I don't have years to test this. People want to buy this now. So I tried to do everything I could to make sure the quality is there. It just doesn't appear to be quality, and I think this thing is built like a tank. So the real big downside to that is weight. This thing's really heavy, but it has wheels. So the only time you're going to have to deal with the weight is picking it in and out of your truck or your trailer. Oh, and one last thing. I haven't had time with the Milwaukee 24-inch tool bag they just came out with. It's got a hard top on it. But that one's only $200 as opposed to $170 for this one. So you get quite a bit more tool storage. That's a third bigger, if you just go by width, amount of space that you're going to have for your tool storage for only $30 more. So you might want to look into that one and consider it if exterior space on the outside of this thing isn't that big of a factor for you. So hopefully this review was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below, and once again, don't forget to subscribe.